Testing 1, 2, 3. This will be a meeting of the Executive Board, 5th District, Georgia State Nurses Association, March 10th, St. Joseph's Infirmary.
Confidential.
Testing 1, 2, 3. This will be a recording of the meeting of the 5th District, Georgia State Nurses. How you doing, Ms. Lewis? This thing's cut.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Armstrong, Ms. English, Ms. Lott,
Here.
Ms. Wallace here, Sister Krista,
Here.
Ms. Gamage. She called, she's excused, she's got class at school 5:30, said she'd definitely be here if she could. Ms. Garland,
Present.
Ms. Hopper, Ms. Graves, Ms. Rittenhouse,
Here.
Ms. Wells, Ms. Burns.
Helen
Miss-
Pemberton is here for Miss Burns.
Ms. Fitzpatrick. She was to be represented by Ms. Woodall, and Ms. Woodall is ill today. She had to come to the clinic this morning. She brought her report. She couldn't make it. Ms. Smith here. Ms. Langford. Ms. Hanson. Ms. Stedman. Ms. Lewis. Ms. Atkins.
We do have a quorum present, so we can proceed with the agenda. The minutes were circulated to you. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Any additions? If not, they're approved as circulated. As far as communications from the president, there are so many things to be said that I think will come up in another spot, but I think I will pass over that. Do we have a report of the secretary?
No.
And then we have a report of the treasurer.
We have the treasurer's report for the month of February, and the balance brought forward from January was $1,618.68, and the receipts for the month, membership fees $1,826.60, AJN subscription $16, the friendship dinner tickets $455, which was a total of $2,297. And with the balance brought forward from January was $3,916.28. The disbursements for the month of February: rent $71, salary $515.72, telephone $54.99, printing $50.47, postage and mailing $50, AJN subscriptions $14, supplies and operational $94.47. Taxes $158.80, miscellaneous $71.50, and membership dinner $428, which was a total of disbursements of $1,508.97. And clear in the bank we have $2,401.33.
How much?
$2,401.33. And $1,000 has been drawn out to put in the National Bank of Georgia. So a deposit in Atlanta, it would be $1,000 drawn out of that.
Okay, other questions regarding the report?
We got in $888 this morning. We were hoping, that's the reason that 1,000 had not been put in for the new account, we didn't get but a $600 check, and he thought it'd be so much better if we got enough to make a substantial. And, were to see me either Friday or this morning, they came in nearly noon, so Ms. Hayes asked if we'd wait till in the morning, and if he wanted to meet people there. And then we have the $1,000 check already made, and the 800, which start us off with 1,800, nearly 1,900. And then you have the 1,500 in other savings, but we need more money, so.
Any further comments or questions? Not, it will be filed for order. May we have a report of the executive secretary?
Well, I got the membership list, I think it was around 10 o'clock this morning, and I made a mistake. I couldn't get to the white paper, and it was about 1 o'clock before I could finish my little report, so many telephone calls and all. I couldn't get to the pink, and I made myself we have a pink roster here, so I've been hunting the roster. I gave it to you, briefly done, but it's accurate up through the last report received through 10 o'clock this morning. We had 669 members cleared through A&A. Now, of course, that included some payroll deductions and also 4 new graduates, who haven't paid dues. And we have 110 new ones that came up before the membership committee Monday, which ought to be approved by this group today. And that would give us a total of 779, and of course, we have not received the dues back from A&A on those. Gives us a gain of 117 over last year on March the 10th. That's just about half of what we're going to need, though, even if we have had just a little improvement. It's been a busier time. The telephone goes constantly, particularly when they want the GSNA. And we have sent material to 65 hospitals and health agencies and visited 25 of the largest of the groups and taken them out material. And we've finally gotten the inventory started. I started it 9 years ago, and I finally found out where all the furniture came from except one chair. And we'll see the tax man. We have to make a report on that now to the joint county tax. Hope to see him tomorrow, and of course much mail has gone out, the 1,300 notices and the friendship dinner invitations. We tried to get us some non-profit postal rates and spent quite some time this week, but we still can't convince them that we are educational. It has been a busy time in the headquarters.
Thank you. Report of standing committees. Mayor Gamage is not here, and as far as I know, there's been no meeting of the bylaws committee. Ethical, legal, and professional standards, Ms. Wells?
We haven't had a meeting yet. I was real interested to find out what transpired at this meeting that had was it the Americana? I was not able to attend that, and I won't take up the time here, but I want to find out what their suggestions and thinking was there, and then I do want to have a meeting and have a call.
And finance, Mrs. Monk.
She hasn't had a meeting.
No, she'll have one when she gets ready to do the budget. Other than that, we haven't had any report from her.
Legislation, Mrs. Rittenhouse.
We had our first meeting last Monday on the 3rd, and all members were there except one, and she was out of town, so I was real pleased with the meeting, with the turnout. We did have 2 recommendations that came from that meeting. The first one would be that $50 be appropriated in the new budget for the use of the legislative committee. We discussed ways that possibly money could be used, and felt that rather than just saying specifically how it would be, that we would recommend that the budget or finance committee just think about this. And the second recommendation was that 5th District support the proposed bill that was to have been, we hope, had been presented to the legislature last week, but it has not as of today. This bill would protect public employees in their right for to bargain collectively. And as of this morning at about 10 o'clock, the bill had not been introduced and we have no numbers, so there's really no report or anything that we can give you about this as such.
Do that about your finance.
Now, okay.
Excuse me.
So I move that $50 be appropriated in the new budget for the use of the legislative committee.
Do you move it or does the committee move it? It is a recommendation from the committee, so it needs no second. Any discussion?
Pardon me? I'm just patting you.
Oh. Any discussion regarding this? I think from the meeting that, I guess it was the state board, but anyhow, it seems that committees are making requests for funds, now, instead of, funds being allocated to the various sections, right? They're asked to submit a budget anyhow. So this is a committee asking, to be considered by the budget. Then discussion of this.
I wonder if we shouldn't, ask the finance committee if that is within the realm of possibility. We can't allocate money.
Well, that's what the motion was, that it be referred to the budget
To
committee.
the budget committee.
For next year, they're
Oh,
asking to be
I
put
see.
in the budget for next year. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of, $50 being appropriated in the new budget for use of the legislative committee, please say aye. All those opposed, no. We will then pass this to the finance committee for their,
For the minutes.
consideration.
And the second recommendation was that 5th District support, and I wish I had the bill number to tell you, support the legislation that hopefully will be introduced, protecting the right of public employees, in organizing for the purpose of collective bargaining. This would be Fulton County employees.
Did it ever get, introduced?
No, now, as of this morning, it has not.
It wouldn't have a number then.
It doesn't
No.
have a number yet. Does anybody
have
want
some
to ask any
abbreviations
question
on
on?
There was a tentative name for it, Fulton County Employee Management Corporation Act, but this is just, was only drawn up, pattern after the Chatham County, and it may not even be called this. I think we would be better off specifying a particular number, which we don't have still.
It has been moved that the 5th District support the number so-and-so bill, which we hope will be introduced into the legislature regarding the right of individuals and groups. And I'm not saying it right either.
Public employees.
Public employees to bargain. Is that in essence what it is? Discussion.
What does the motion mean by support? Just, just to say we would, or do we do more than that? Has it gotten further than that, Ms. Rittenhouse? What did they expect us to do?
The
Just
committee.
maybe write to our legislators, or what?
Right, the committee was leaving this up to the board to decide how, as the 5th District, we should support it.
I don't think there'd be any money involved.
No, actually, it would be almost on an individual basis.
Probably a lot of,
Legislators, isn't it?
Well, as I said, if this board, votes that we do this, we would send a letter similarly as we send a letter to, you know, Mr. Thrasher and the hospital authority and those people involved in that. I would assume that this letter would go to the legislators of Fulton County, the senators and the representatives. Is this,
Now, this is particular bill that we're talking about will only affect Fulton County employees. However, it must be, if the bill is introduced into the Senate or the House, it must pass on the whole state, not just the Fulton County delegation. The whole state must vote on it. All the legislatures.
Yeah, our group would introduce it.
Yeah, our Fulton County delegation will
But all the
introduce it,
legislators on
but
the
all
state would
would
vote
have to
for it.
vote on it.
well, what
Usually they
then
do
would,
if it's local legislation, then it's right.
Let me ask one question, and I'll certainly display my ignorance. Why is it necessary that we pass that in the legislature? Is that not taken for granted anyway, or is it?
No, at this
Not
point,
in some
public
states.
employees are not protected.
What would happen to them?
They would, they would have something like happened in DeKalb County. This is in trying to prevent anything happening like that happening up here.
well, I think it is that they won't recognize the right to bargain with a public employer. So that they wouldn't be, have to resign or anything, but it's just that they say it's impossible to make a contract with a public employer.
This actually is protecting a basic right that's already there. We have the right, it's just that we're not protected. at
They're
this
using
point.
it as a dodge.
But does the hospital also have the right to, say who works and who doesn't? I'm really asking for.
public hospital like Grady would be involved with this. Private hospitals might not,
It's not a
be
matter of
protected
having
that.
You are.
That's all right, 'cause I mean, it's displaying my ignorance too.
Well, I just want to say that a public hospital, or any hospital has a right to say who can work, like, but they are trying to say that the people that work there do not have the right to bargain.
I think it is that the hospital authority said that they had no, power to make a contract with any group of public employees. But they've already passed this in Chatham County. And I really wonder about the garbage workers in DeKalb County. Didn't they make a agreement with the garbage workers when they were having all that? So you see, it's just something.
Well, it depends on who it is asking
Yeah.
for it, really. This is what has been said, that they had rather work with the Teamsters Union organizing people in a hospital than to work with the nurses, because the nurses were getting there and meddling around and want to improve things. Now,
Yeah,
that's been
want
said by
say
the
and to
Hospital
do.
Association. And now, if the improvement can't be stood, then we out of luck as far as nursing is concerned. And that came real direct, girls. It's not something I just heard by the grapevine.
Well, one of the biggest things, it seems to me, about this is that no institution similar to DeKalb General could hide behind the fact that they can't negotiate with the group. This would be, say you can, and they can't use that excuse again. Are you ready for the question? The motion is that Fifth District support the proposed bill, which hopefully will be introduced to protect public employees in their right to organize and collectively bargain. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Now, while we're on, is that while we're on this subject, so that I will know and so that Carolyn will know, we've said here that we will support it. How will we, what is your feeling about us making this known and to whom? It's fine to say we support.
Well, what we did before, we just got Ms. Monaco to address a letter to all of the members of the General Assembly and sent them our letter that we were supporting it. That's what we did.
The entire General Assembly of
Had
the
a
Portland
letter
delegation.
addressed to them, or from Fifth District, and the letter she did it on the offset and sent it to all of them. That's what we did before when we were, something on the nurse bill there, you know, when they were trying to take everybody that had any experience in these nursing homes and give them status.
Is this what you, does anybody else wanna say anything about this?
Is it feasible in any way to, contact the various members of the district, urging them to also individually contact the legislators, or was this too much money involved?
Mailing, I've just gotten some more money for mailing. We just had 2 big mailings and they cost us at least $32, no, more than that, 40 some odd dollars to send out 1,200. When you stop to think about it, depending on what kind of mail you do, that right, and you can take it to your district, and you can give it to your sections.
If in
And
some way the,
put on bulletin
Economic
board.
and General Welfare Program could pay for the postage, and,
Well, if they wanna do it, we can,
If
from
it
the
could go
state,
through the
I'll address
office.
them. Now, that's already
This is-
understood, that anything they wanna send out in paper, monies, that I will be happy to address it to the entire membership of this district. I mean, we do that anyhow, you know,
Would this-
insurance.
Is this what
Is
you want
this
done,
what you're
Carol?
saying,
I don't-
Carolyn?
I'm just saying, if this was, if we were requested to do this, could it be done?
You're not requesting something to be sent to the membership, are you? Aren't you requesting something to be sent to the legislature?
No, I'm saying, yes, be sent to the legislatures also, but if each person individually would get behind their own representative, this makes it better impact too, when you've got more people behind it rather. I mean, an organization is fine too, but if each one of us individually could contact our own representative,
Wouldn't they need
senator or,
full support in the state anyhow? I mean, don't you
Throughout
think
the
that
state.
GSNA would consider that? For the entire membership, since you need the vote of all of the General Assembly?
Yeah, that's an idea.
I can send it to the bulletin boards if you want to do that, anything like that, but as far as another mailing, it'd be $72 more. Right now, we just had 2 within the month.
Because I wonder if Ms. Ritterhouse knows what the state level is doing in this regard to promote it, or did it come from, this district? Aren't they doing
the
this?
bill came from the state level.
Well, I was gonna say, so it's probably pretty well promulgated, or will be pretty
Yeah, I
well.
don't know what the state committee as such has done, cause I haven't heard.
I think it might be good to see how they're promulgating, because Carolyn might be duplicating their efforts by trying to get to just the 5th district. If the state's been sending out communications to each individual state
Are you
organization.
talking about the state?
Georgia State, no,
legislative
Georgia
committee?
State Nurse Association. They've been sending communications to each member, keeping us informed. Haven't y'all been getting it on everything that's going on?
Yes, I thought you meant.
No, I mean, the Georgia State
legislative
Nurse
committee.
Association, if they're promulgating, I think we'll get communications, as you want each member to get.
You don't have, the bill hasn't been set up yet, has it?
It's been drawn up, yes,
Oh,
ma'am, but
okay.
it has not been introduced.
You don't have a copy.
I think they'll get to us from
Get it
the Georgia State
introduced.
Nurse Association. I mean, I think it's up to the 5th district to write to our legislators, support that way, but as far as membership, I feel sure that it's gonna come out from the state level. And I think we'd be duplicating time and postage and so forth. I don't know how Ms. Armstrong feels. You wrote a letter to the editor before and it got published. This might be a way of reaching membership. I don't know whether they would post something like Princeton, probably they would.
We can take one to them again. Spent an hour down there last time talking to them.
Well, I
Mr.
think,
Smith.
my personal feeling is that, that we need to contact in some way all the Fulton County legislators. That means representatives and senators. This will be introduced in the House of Representatives. It will be introduced by Mr. Brown. What's his name?
It's debatable who will introduce it as
Oh,
of this
really?
morning.
Well, the last I heard was Mr. Brown was going to introduce it, and, Mr. Brown is a Negro, and there are some members of the legislature who may vote against it just because it's being introduced by a Negro. So I do feel that we need to let let the whole delegation know that this body is supporting it. So whatever else we do, I do feel that a letter should go to each of the representatives and senators.
That wouldn't be too expensive.
No,
would it?
first of all, we got to get a number before we can set out this, but if this is, if this much, if you agree that should be done, we'll do it as soon as we get the number. Now, above that, I don't, that's up to you what you want done.
Well, would this not come to the district body if it is the district supporting the bill? With the motion.
Recommendation from the board.
Recommendation would go to the district and then for voting here.
Is any other instructions you'd like to give us about, dissemination of this information?
Or just seeing how many there were that would be sent to.
It's about 150 or something. I don't know exactly, but I do know that we've done it before and it can be done inexpensively. You can either have it on your offset or she can do it on that electric typewriter with one letter, and just repeats it. And it looks as if she had, Ms. Monaco's moved out on Tully Circle now. She's out in.
There's 25 representatives from Fulton. Now, you talking about doing it just from Fulton or the whole state?
How many senators care?
Now, there's about 7, I think, or 9.
Well, that wouldn't be so expensive.
What I was saying, I was limiting myself to Fulton. That's why I was saying above this, I'd like somebody else to say.
Dickie Lane told us Sunday night that he was supporting us, and he's representative from East Point.
Y'all listen to, Sodom.
No problem. Thank you, Carol. Membership motion, Ms. English.
Well, I did everything I could to get a committee to meet, and nobody came but Ms. Armstrong and Ms. Atkins and myself. What happened to the members, whether they got their notices or what? Of course, we couldn't take any action, but the day after we had this meeting, had this letter from Ms. Dixon, Ms. Bernice Dixon, who's the chairman of the membership committee in GSNA, and she's made some suggestions. Y'all like to have it, or did any of you get this letter? She says, I never had the privilege of working with more, it's all right if I read it. Working with a more interested, enthusiastic group. We want each of you to help us to make this the best year in the history of our organization. We must get the message to the nurses in Georgia that with their interest and support, ANA and GSNA continue to work for the attainment of these goals. Upgrading nursing practice, increased educational opportunities, better utilization of registered nurses, high salaries, and better working conditions. Sound like some old song saying the same old chorus. Your committee suggests that nurses work for the Hospital Association. Does she mean the Georgia Hospital Association? I guess so. In promoting both nurses and allied groups near the Hospital Week, May 12th. There are many outstanding nurses in your district. A program can be planned to honor them. When this place could emphasize the role of nurses in patient care, the preparation of the nurse, identifying schools of nursing, the importance of the professional organization, and set a standards of nursing practice. Recognition be given to nurses returning to practice following years of inactivity. 2, much interest and publicity be given to nurses and nurses during the week of September. We will communicate with you about this at a later date. Promotional materials to be ordered from ANA. She lists some, I won't bore you. We have recommended that a membership promotion workshop be one of the programs at the 1969 annual meeting. Would you be interested in having such a workshop in your district, or perhaps our 2 adjoining districts? We're requesting the Board of Examiners Nurses for Georgia to provide us with a list of registered nurses added to the roster each year. This list will be forwarded to you as soon as we receive it. Personal contact is the most effective method of recruiting. Genuine interest and enthusiasm about the programs and activities of GSNA will make our fellow nurses want to belong. The membership committee will meet again in May. Please share with us your thoughts and your successful adventures or your failures. Working together, we can reach every nurse in Georgia. After all, we are the Georgia State Nurse Association. Well, at the time that Miss Armstrong and I and Miss Atkins met out at East Point, we discussed some things that were similar to this and thought about going into the hospital like they had in previous years. Then we couldn't do anything much about it until we could get the committee back together or get them to meet. But I talked with some members that held some of these booths in the hospitals last year and said that in some hospitals they were not accepted hardly at all. The nurses were rebuffed. They were stuck off in a corner where they didn't get any reception at all. Now, I don't know if anybody had any great success or not last year. Year before, I understand, we had pretty good success. And I got to thinking about it, and I didn't call anybody on this committee until I had some instruction, maybe some help from this board. I tried to get 3 directors of nurses this morning to ask them how they felt about it, and I couldn't get anybody because they were busy. And I didn't know whether the administrators in the hospital would really want us to set up booths this year, not feeling like they do, and like the Georgia Hospital Association feeling towards GSNA at this point. Now, these are some facts we have to face. We can't just go in and set up a booth in the hospital, even though it's a public place. We have to have permission. And of course, we'd have to work through the director of nurses. I understand some of the directors sort of on the fence, and they on the spot besides. So I didn't know exactly what to do, and then I noticed down here that they had suggested a workshop. I didn't know if we wanted to get involved in a workshop. I do know that we have a program meeting in the district in May, and we might have some discussion on what type of program we'd like to have. Also, we do have a lot of outstanding nurses in the 5th district, and we'd like to know who to honor at this meeting, or if you wanted an individual honored, if you want all nurses honored. Sometimes I feel like we select an individual and say, yes, she's done a heck of a lot for the district. Well, this is true. But so have a lot of other nurses. And then there's a lot of feeling because Miss Susie Smith got honored and I didn't get honored, and this kind of thing goes on all the time. Sort of like selecting the nurse of the year, you know, or the nurse like we had. And there was a lot of jealousy there and a lot of feeling there that so-and-so got honored and I didn't get honored. So I'd like some direction from the board on something about what they feel like they might like to have, and, you know, see if they could do something about getting this committee to come meet with me. Fire them if they don't.
We sent out these, I may say so, the certificates last year asking the directors, and we did award 5 of them. We still have them, and of course it would be up to the membership committee when they would like to award them, whether in May or whether they'd rather wait and do it at the
I
annual
think that
meeting,
this,
or-
this little thing that Carolyn brought out to the, East Point Health Center shouldn't be done in hospital week, because this is a membership thing, and I felt that this might be, given out if we give awards in Nurse Week, when and by that time you'd have maybe a lot more people that had joined, and they'd have a lot more 100% membership, areas to give to. But I felt like this didn't have a thing to do with the hospital. And this is hospital week that we'd be trying to do something in May. Now, I don't know, how the group feels about this, about hospital week, what we want to do. I'd like to have some suggestions from you leaders in nursing. I don't always speak
Our
for
closest hospital week to Nurse Week.
It's May 12th for hospital week, and nurse week's in September. And we have a good many members, yes, this year, but of course, as Ms. Atkins has said, we would need more members.
That's just half enough.
Why did you think of having it hospital week?
I didn't think of
They were thinking about it in that membership committee meeting of the state, that since it was Florence Nightingale's birthday, that would be an
it. This
appropriate
used to be
time.
Nurse Week.
Like, we've always had it during the last 10 years.
But that's not hospital
During
week.
Nurse Week. Well,
Yeah.
Hospital Week runs the same way with Florence Nightingale, and then there's something in the Army that comes on the same time. There were 3 things that they coordinated because they gave us windows at Davison's and Rich's using it, and using the Air Force with it. on
Evidently, this
Services
is
Day,
something
I
that
think
the
it is.
hospital association has during this week. And, I couldn't figure out why we would have a membership drive in a hospital association program. We need the members. I'm not saying that we don't need the members, that we shouldn't make every effort to get them, but I couldn't get the connection of membership week with the hospital association meeting. Seemed to me like membership nurse week would have been the week for the membership.
Well, it
Got the
has
hospital
previously
card.
been the Nurse Week, and with the Florence Nightingale birthday, and capitalizing on the publicity then, open house, or getting the window displays, it was appropriate. But those just happened to coincide. with
Has it
hospital week.
always been hospital week at this time?
No.
Yeah, I think so. It's on account of the Florence Nightingale's birthday that it is. I know that one
Why
time.
would the hospital association have anything on Florence Nightingale?
Well, they do, and they had the caps out at South Fulton once. It already planned it. The hospitals were going to show the caps. We have
I don't
asked.
think caps mean a thing. Do you know that one of the legislators turned around to one of the public health nurses, and he didn't know that, he turned around and said to her, "Do you wear a cap?" I would've said, "Yes, I do," and practical nurses wear a cap too. Now, that's immaterial. The
That
cap
don't make-
doesn't mean
they
a
don't
lot of
know the
anything.
difference.
Membership wise, how effective is, contacting, every nurse that nurses? If she's if she's an RN, she's a registered nurse, she has to
Yeah.
be down on the list at the Georgia State Capitol. How effective is contacting people from that list that, no point in contacting the ones that are already members, but the
right.
ones that are not members?
I
How
don't know if this
effective
has
would
ever
that
been
kind of program
done.
be?
Yes, they did several years ago when Miss Genevieve Jones first came here. They sent them out, and a great number of them who were already members became quite angry about it. So they've always been a member, and it was very, very expensive. They couldn't separate the list to get them. It's a tedious job. They out of 15,000 names to try to separate them. So they sent it all over Georgia. It's been several years ago, and between 1960 and 61, about that time, anyhow, well, maybe it was 59, between those years. And they sent a little slip to everybody. In fact, I think they did it another time when we were in convention in San Francisco, and it got out too late. In fact, it came out later after the Nurse Week program that all the material came out. We got a list we finally have been able to get lists from the state Board of Examiners, and I did it before Christmas, every person registered in the state since last March, including the 325 new graduates.
But
Well
we're just
sent.
concerned with the
Fifth
ones that are.
district, Fifth district, we sent them out, Ms. Monaco sent them out, we had the letter made up, application forms and all, and we got one from Louisiana this last week, just telling us that she had moved and so forth. We got about, I guess in all about a dozen of them back, and so far we don't even have a dozen new members or new graduates out of all that group. We have gotten quite a number of the older graduates, and, ours have already been contacted of all the nurses who've registered since last March, 325,
That's the new graduate.
applications and all were sent to them, you know, with the, I think I showed y'all what we.
This is I think Miss Wells goes deeper than that. I think she is interested in the nurses who have been registered for a long time that aren't members now.
Well, that's what they did several years ago. I'm just giving you the reaction to it. By having those hospitals assigned to certain members of your membership committee, she could work any program out or be responsible for certain areas, and seeing that they did have materials and seeing that they did have some contact of trying to meet with the staff, at least.
Yeah, but I see on this report, Ray, you say you've already sent out recruitment to 65 hospitals, so.
Well, I have, but you
Yeah, well, what's the use of repeating it? This one comes.
Well, if you just sit there and let it sit on the shelf, you're not gonna get any results from it, because for the last 5 years, we've lacked about 300 of having as many as we need.
Well, you can't force these people to join this act, and now it's gonna be real difficult to get any private duty nurses to join. And if you've already sent recruitment material to 65 hospitals, this would sort of be a duplication of effort, seems to me. Maybe not, maybe we should duplicate.
Every hospital on our mailing list has always been sent materials, usually in November. We didn't have it in November.
Well, this one done this year then.
And it was done in January, and I got in my car and spent 3 whole days getting it out over a weekend to 21 of the larger hospitals in great big old shopping bags. Y'all said leave it in the office, there wasn't room in the office, I am putting it down in the basement, it's dangerous down there, and I was getting too many telephone calls for application forms, so in order to
We
stop
don't
the
have anywhere
telephone
to store
calls.
this in our offices,
In order to stop the telephone calls, I bundled it all up, and Miss Mace came down and helped me, and what we did, we gave them a complete package. Instead of having 5 different things, here's everything that person needs to know to come on in as a member with a self-addressed envelope. It's directions, 5th district. This is the thing I'm concerned about. They're not sending them in. I spent all Friday morning trying to get statistics and information on where they are and where they live, and what school or where I can get credentials. And one of them, I think I told you, on the list we had to compile, hadn't even stood state board. She got wonderful recommendations from the DeKalb Convalescent Home, and they don't read this. I spent 1 hour on 2 of your public health nurses prior to trying to find out. One of them put me an application form, and she was a member last year. I had to return her check. Another one, I wrote 4 notes before I finally really came out with what was wrong with her. Little memos on that, and come to find out she paid the first installment but not the second and third. You see, AMA has not given us a list on these people. All they've given us are cards, and on one person sometimes you have as many as 5 cards, and it's been a difficult thing. I have no other suggestions to tell you except to tell you that we're going to have members, or either we're going to have to make some other provisions. And if you can't sell nursing, and you don't want to sell nursing, you certainly can't make it.
I don't think you should say we don't want to sell nursing, Carolyn. I don't really think we should say that we don't want to do anything about it, because everybody wants to do something about it, but you got to know what you're doing, and we can't just walk in a hospital and walk around and just
Well,
tell
that's
all
why
these
it's
people
nice
how to
having
do it.
one person assigned to that hospital, is go ahead and have that feelings. Ms. Rittenwood, you've worked on that. Tell me
Yeah, let
what
her tell you about her
is with it.
experience at
That's-
Piedmont.
Well, now, year before last, we had real good, I thought, cause I was at Gray that year. Now, last year at Piedmont.
Was that the 24-hour one when you got about
Yeah.
119 of them?
Yeah, and last year at Piedmont, they stuck me in a little hole, and said, okay, you can do what you wanna do. But it was just real difficult there, cause you have to really work real close with the director, or with the nursing service, and whoever she says is gonna work with you, and I didn't have much cooperation from the last year, and consequently, we didn't get any members from them. And I think if the committee's gonna do this year, you need to really get in and see if the director wants you there, and if they want you there, fine, and see if they'll take some initiative also. Now, like at Grady, they, at the hospital, set up the booths, and they had someone to help me the whole time that I was there. Cause you can't really go in and do it by yourself. You've got to really have the cooperation both ways. So it may work, and it may not, but I really think you ought, like Ms. English tried to call the directors this afternoon, I think something needs to be, the committee needs to have something to go on, whether the hospitals will, take the nurses in this year if they're really interested in doing it.
They might get the impression that we're in there trying to get membership on account of the economic security program, so we can't go in unless, I wouldn't even ask a nurse to go in, period, unless I was sure ahead of time that the director of nurses in this hospital would give her support to this program, and that it was all right with her administrator. I think we could hurt ourselves a great deal if we just walk in and say we'd like to do this. Now, you take down at Grady, where they were real responsive the year before last. I don't know about last year. But now Mr. Pinkston has been riled up this year, and Miss Woody is his assistant. Neither one of those people might want anybody in there trying to get membership for the GSNA. Some of the hospitals have told their nurses they can't even discuss the economic security program. If they do, they're gonna be fired.
I wonder if we might not, ask Ms. English if she'll try to get her membership committee together again, and then perhaps come up with some recommendations for this. Rather, we can, discuss a great deal this afternoon, but since she did not have our members didn't come with her, she really has no recommendations at this time.
Oh,
Couldn't have,
except-
because there's not enough, there weren't anybody there. I do feel that when we give a committee responsibility, that we should listen to what the committee says, and they
And I
can
think
make
the
their
committee ought to make
recommendations.
an effort to come to the meeting too. I really do. If you're gonna
I
accept the
wonder
committee, ought to
if
be
you have a
there.
list of all the registered nurses in the fifth district. Do you have an up-to-date list?
There's no way of getting it except going through the state roster, and there are 15,000 in there. None of us would have time to do it. I had used to get a list from every hospital. They were nice
you
and
could-
cooperative,
they
and I
have the
never had a
address.
chance to check with them.
I did it 2 years personally.
They had the address. If we could screen out the members, you have, how many members now, 600? How many members?
I don't have enough time to go through that many names to check
Well,
them
if we
all.
could get,
My time is real bad, but I don't consider that I have that much time to check out on the state roster, where I would have to go through every nurse in Georgia and pull out the nurses in the fifth district.
It's
That's
personal
pretty bad.
contact anyway, I don't think mailing helps.
I don't
It's
either.
the personal contact.
We will need to approve the 110.
Well, I'm not a very good salesman, but I've tried to personally contact on my little small area, and I'm afraid I haven't been very successful.
Could each section
I
go
haven't
through it on their own?
pinpointed just one.
Everybody should be.
I would like
It used to be in
to.
your code, in your creed, in there, in your professional code that you, I think it changed a little bit and deleted that part out in there, but every nurse was supposed to.
I'm not so worried about the
Too
ones
bad
we've
we
got on
don't
our
have
roll, I'm
this,
worried about the ones we're
broken
not
down
going
by
to.
county, like it used to be, where we could really use that roster, by county.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I
Well, just
wonder-
like Ms. Armstrong said, though, I don't believe we could really come to any conclusions today. Maybe we'll make another effort, and in the meantime, maybe we could, contact the directors of nurses. I made
Yeah,
an effort
see
today.
what they tell you,
Uh-huh.
that would be the easiest sample.
Ms. Armstrong, we didn't have any occasion to take care of this list of this application for the membership. I guess it would be left up to the board now to see if they want to accept them.
As the general thing, the membership committee would have reviewed, these applications for membership and would have made a recommendation to the board for approval, but since they did not have a quorum, they had no opportunity to act on this, we bring these names, and each of you have a copy of them, and our executive secretary has followed through on, what's that little called?
Credentials. They've all been certified, or either the recommendations or either they've gone through the
They
merit
have
system
been
and
checked
met the
as far
qualifications.
as we can, and you have them. What is your wish regarding this list of
110.
110 names?
Even from last year. One transferred, but here we don't have to act on her, but we did because she was new, and she renewed from this area.
Well, I've looked over this list pretty carefully, and a lot of these people on here I know personally, and I move that this list of nurses be accepted for membership.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept these 110 people for membership in the 5th district. Any discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you, we're mighty glad to get them.
Madam President, would it be in order that we ask if the board, or if the membership committee chairman would like to have a member that said she had volunteered for your committee and would like to work on it, if you'd like to have her?
Well, I think
Ms.
there's
Woodall,
anybody that wants to work on it.
she-
I wished I knew where all these other
She
people
called
lived
today and said that she
addresses
had
and stuff.
enjoyed it the last several years,
This is
and
Gail.
I don't know whether she put it on a card and we didn't get it or not,
Yeah,
but
you on my
I-
committee.
I meant to come, but I got caught up with a C-section, and that was just more important at the time. It was an cesarean, an
How
emergency.
can I call you?
And I'm sorry.
How can I call you? Crawford Long Extension.
Where is Ms.
271.
she's at the alcoholic center up there at Briarcliff.
I really did
Used to be
mean to
very
go.
skilled.
Now
Now
we
it's
have to
in
wait for a
turn.
C-section.
I didn't get
She's a
through
good
till
one.
4 o'clock, so
Since
I
we,
didn't think that to come down.
elect members to committees, is there any objection to adding, do you know what that's name? Ms. Nell Woodall to the membership committee, since she has requested to serve on
Will
this
you give me
committee.
your address?
Is there any objection? Hearing none. Pauline, I'll give you this
I'll
name.
send you all of them on that, there may be some changes on your committee and telephone numbers. There is a change on your roster if you'd like to do it on Mildred Burns. Evidently, when she went out of office there, the old number was left. If y'all would like to do it, if you had it changed on yours, Ms. Armstrong, if you'd like to tell the others on your roster. That's the thing I've been looking for ever since.
You mean the Wygelia?
Or her telephone number.
Oh,
has been incorrect.
634-0810 is Mrs. Burns's telephone number. And this is
The typewriter.
You have
also a
this
change
in
of
your
address, you know,
hand.
on that, don't you?
Ms. Armstrong, I got 3 other people I'd like to ask the board to elect to this membership committee, because I think we're gonna have enough on here so we can get a quorum when we call a meeting. Now, I can understand why Ms. Smith didn't get there. She couldn't possibly have left. Could I ask that Miss Mary Gaiman from South Fulton Hospital and Carol Reddish and Isabel Scruggs from Public Health Department be added to this list? Could you elect those people maybe?
I move that they be added to the list of the, membership committee.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we add these 3 names to the membership committee.
Mary was good. Ms. Gaiman and, this young lady were all good, and they, 5 or more, Ms.
Carol Reddish. She's talking about Carol Reddish and not Carol Rittenhouse.
Oh,
Carol got
Reddish.
more than she can do now.
I was putting you back on.
Anything else, I
Excuse
was
me.
work out of her too.
At least 5, I think.
She
is what
works
it
for me,
states.
don't give her anything
I looked
else.
for it. I looked to see
All
because
those
you
in-
have about twice that many.
favor of adding these three names, please say aye. Opposed, no. Pauline, will you contact them, you want us to?
I'll contact them.
Okay.
I wanna be sure they know about it.
Nominations, Ms. Mann is not here, we'll come back to that. Ms. Bud. Programs, Ms. Lott.
The program committee has not had a meeting since the last board meeting, I don't believe. But we felt that the Friendship Dinner was, very successful, and you've already heard the financial report. Now, we meet on Thursday of this week, and we think we're going to have quite a good program. We have a panel. As you know, Ms. Wells is going to moderate the panel. Each section's being represented. Now, the names they've given me are as follows. Ms. Wells has Mrs. Eden coming from private duty, Jackie Tiller from NSA.
And that, Ms. Tiller's going to be out of town. She called me last night. And I haven't, I've contacted some people, but I haven't been successful thus far.
And, Miss Mallory's got Mrs. Wade from Public Health, and I don't know who she has from ACT. She was, I had planned several. Mrs. Sachs has S.N. Nugent and Mrs. Smith. And they each have, 10 minutes to present some of the problems facing nurses in this, section. And I expect they'll be talking about some of the things that we've been talking about here today. We're to meet out at our new building, and I certainly hope all of you are able to come and that we have a good group.
May I ask what happened to that lady from the eye safety?
She came, did she ever join?
No, she asked that we sent, you mean about speaking of a future date?
Yeah.
That has not been arranged.
No, that still could be pending if we want to.
I just
See,
feel
it
like we're
seemed
kinda
to the program
inconvenienced
committee
her
that
to-
with the big issues facing nurses today, that was something that possibly could be delayed until later.
We sent our application, an invitation to the Valentine dinner party friendship, but so far we haven't heard from them.
Public Relations, Marilyn Rosecrans. Special committees, the ad hoc committee and Lou Overton. This committee has not met. We met with such animosity and we were so discouraged, and so and another registry was started, so we really decided that we would just sort of leave things alone for a while. And it seems everybody is very well satisfied with what they have, the call list, and then the other people with this registry. So we really haven't done anything since last report. And if this board would like to give us any direction at this time, we'd be glad to know your feeling about the ad hoc committee to move toward a community registry. Does anybody want-
You haven't heard from the private duty section.
Plenty. We'll get to that in a minute too.
Could I make a comment?
Yes.
The private duty nurse that I asked her in sort of this kind of terms, just to make a factual statement, because I don't think we really want to get in any arguments pro and con, but I think it is interesting information. So I think that is sort of what she's going to present.
And I think that's the spirit people will receive it in too.
Well, I was just hoping.
Yeah.
And as far as economic security is concerned, at this particular meeting, my feeling is that that is not what the panel is to be discussing. However, if somebody feels moved, I think it's a free country. If you want to say something, except that is information to personal opinion or whatever. And if there's any comments to that kind of an attitude, I'd be interested.
Each fellow will have about 10 minutes and then
Yeah,
we'll have a few general questions.
Because the concerns of each section, I feel, are just many faceted, and you couldn't possibly cover all of them, maybe, and then let it be the prerogative of the person that does the presentation to choose, what they would like to bring to the whole group.
One of the problems of all of us is communicating. We misunderstand so often, and if we could, within our professional organization, communicate as mature people, I think we would be so very much ahead. And this is one of the things the panel is attempting to do, is to say some of the things that we see as problems, and hopefully we can, as professional people, move ahead on it. But not to try and solve overwhelm everybody.
Well, back to the ad hoc committee, Ms. Overton has asked for a transfer from this district to another district. So if this board wishes us to continue with anything further on the direction you gave us several months ago, and of all the things that has transpired since then, if you wish us to continue, then we would have to have another chairman of this committee, is really what I'm saying about this. The other information I just mentioned really wasn't information. It was that we just threw up our hands and gave up, really.
Would it then, under the circumstances this particular time, to dissolve that committee and know that we could recreate it if the feeling was different at some different time?
Parliamentarian says we discharge the committee.
I move that we dissolve the committee for the present.
Second motion.
Now, a special committee any committee that's dissolved, is dissolved. Not for the present, but I mean.
Qualified then, but of course we could.
You
Later on,
can come back with.
It's been moved and seconded that the ad hoc committee, which was charged with the responsibility of moving toward a community registry, be dissolved. Any discussion?
I'd like to ask if any other agencies were involved in this. I don't know who, but as I understand it, there were sitters, practical nurses, other levels of nursing involved. And have any of these been contacted? So that we'd be cutting out some of their work, maybe.
Well, our registry was closed as of August the 1st, and this registry did have practical nurses in it. Now, since the closure of this, practical nurses have gone to a answering service, and a group of private duty nurses have formed a club, and they have a registry. And the sitters, I haven't heard anything from. I don't know about that. But,
But the committee was created here.
the committee was here, and we were responsible for our end. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of dissolving the ad hoc committee, please say aye. Opposed, no.
Did she, who seconded?
Ms. English. Report of special representatives, we have 2 representatives to the Joint Health Commission on area-wide planning. Who wants to say?
Ms. Lott has attended the last 2 meetings. I haven't been able to attend. I was out of town. So I'm sure she has a more up-to-date report than I would.
Yes, I did go to the last 2, and they're beginning to move into action, and I have some information to bring you, Madam President. Maybe it would be good just if I could say a word about what they are doing in order for all of us to be familiar with it. In 1966, Public Law 89-749, and I've learned to remember it, was passed by the United States Congress, which set up the facilities and the methodology for planning nationwide. Now this in turn established regional planning units and then state planning units. We have a regional unit, I believe we're Region 4. We have a state planning unit which operates under the State Health Department. You know Dr. Gillespie, all of you, I think. In the region, the person that I know in the region is Dexter Kempsey, who is on the staff. Now, with this in mind, what they're trying to do is look at the total health picture and the health needs and the health resources of an area and come up with a meshing together of all of the needs of peoples and environments and problems, all these things come in together. It's not just one phase, but total health planning. In order to do this, then, a state could not possibly do it on a statewide basis, so they are encouraging local communities to themselves form planning bodies that would be recognized as valid. I think that it's quite a credit to Fulton County Medical Society that the doctors down there really were aware of the needs, and I judge from my attendance at the meetings, and I guess we've been going for about 2 years. This is the 2nd year. But they interested themselves in what was going on and offered themselves sort of as an advisory committee to the existing planning groups in the metropolitan area. They have talked about medical trade areas, our metropolitan medical trade area, which would be some 27 counties in juxtaposition here. They think this will eventually come, but right at the present time, they are talking about the 5 metropolitan counties as being the planet, the geography that they consider. And when you get into this kind of thing, all of this is this Metropolitan Planning Commission. Then we have the Paget Committee, and I don't know anything more than the Paget Committee, but that's a powerful committee. Everybody you know is just real impressed with the Paget Committee.
Where did it get its name?
Hey, from the person who heads it up.
A.B. Patton?
Yeah, he isn't he, vice president of the, yeah, but he's one of the banks here. The one that has the most money. I always think First National was, but it's second. Is it, Commonwealth and Southern, what is the bank? Maybe it's CNS. But this is Mr. Paget. He's just the nicest man. I sat next to him the other day. And he's just real interested in a variety of things. But he's Mr. Paget, the one that, I think he really has all this at his fingertips. And he's got an excellent committee too. Then the other one is this joint committee that Fulton County Medical Society has formed, and to which you sent Ms. Garland to me. Now I'd like to tell you who's on that. From the Medical Society themselves is Dr. Wells and Dr. Walker. They invited two people from the Atlanta Medical Association. This is the Negro Association. Dr. Palmer and Dr. Ryan. From the Atlanta Hospital Council is Mr. Barker, Mr. Pinkston, and Hewlett Sumner. From the Regional Dental Association is Dr. McMartin and Dr. Hamby. From the North Georgia Dental Association is Dr. Bell and Dr. Benson. And from 5th District GSNA, you know who you sent. So these are the ones that come. I left off one of the hospital people. That's from the Georgia Hospital Association. So this is the fourth. Now, what has happened is that they have asked Dr. Wells to join Mr. Paget's committee to represent this committee. And they are planning to, and they have employed a gentleman from out at Lockheed, maybe Lockheed even longer time, but anyway, his name is Levine, Dr. Levine. He's PhD and quite capable as a person who can make plans for planning. But they are getting organized. They are asking members from all over the area, particularly from these committees, to come together on some task forces and make some suggestions. Now, the first task force meets tonight at 7:30 at the Glenn Building. I think this one is on environmental sanitation, and I'll go. I don't know whether you can go or not, but since the letter came and I haven't seen it, it doesn't have a name, this task force. Dr. Wells told me he thought it was environmental sanitation. But I have called Dr. Levine, and he has given me the 12 task forces that are to be formed. He is going to ask the two of us to suggest a nurse on each one of these committees. And I thought that rather than our suggesting them, maybe you would like to hear the names of the task forces. You might have some suggestions. Would you like me to read these? Now, there are two of them I don't think we need a nurse on. And Dr. Levine said that, we could use our own judgment. And the interesting thing is nowhere does sanitation appear. This one, environmental sanitation, which I think is meeting tonight. I don't know what this covers. I can give you more information later. But the name of them are as follows: Facility Resources and Utilization. Now, I don't know what facilities, but Facility Resources and Utilization. 2, Manpower Resources and Utilization. 3, Demand for Services. 4, Access to Health Care. The next two are the ones I think possibly we would not want to send a representative to. 5th is Sewage Systems and Water Supply. 6, Solid Waste and Garbage Disposal. Then and 7, maternal and child health and family planning, all that is together. 8, outpatient and home health care. 9, mental illness. 10, I have no idea what this means, and probably we would not need a nurse representative. Longitudinal study of Proctor Creek. Where is Proctor Creek?
It's out northwest, Sand Hill area.
You all must be polluted.
They are polluted.
11,
100%.
drug abuse and alcoholism, and 12, accidents. Now these are the committees, and really it is most interesting and challenging, I think, to attend some of them. So if you would like to make some suggestions.
What you have heard the report from this special, from Mrs. Lott, and from the Joint Health Commission on area-wide planning, which she lists 12 task forces. And I believe there would have been 9 that.
Yeah, 3 of them, I don't think.
That, you might like to consider a nurse representative on. What is your feeling, or what is your wish? Do you think we should do about that? We didn't know when we got into it, they were gonna subdivide and subdivide.
Well, I think we ought to get people that know something about it, because they want working members who can bring something to it, and we're trying to prove that we are professional people, and I'm just saying that in our own group. Now, here's a chance for us to be concerned and to do something outside of our own little bailiwick, but yet represent nursing the while. And I think we ought to get the very best that we have to serve on these task forces. Now, I don't know what facility resources and utilization is. If you would like me to, I'll investigate further and find out, just a little more about what they're doing. But I think manpower is probably fairly clear. We'd know what that was. Now, that goes in sort of with membership, doesn't it? We're trying to do something there. We need to know what our manpower is. Demand for services, I'm sure that's health services, including hospital and nurses and everything else. Mental illness, you can imagine what that is, drug abuse. And this is an increasing problem in this area.
Well, when did they want the names for them?
No deadline at all. After you and I talked, I said I'd ask for them so that we could, and I think we ought not to do it in a hurry. I think we ought to get some good people.
I thought it was by June that the task force, according to those,
Oh, you mean
that
these?
diagram,
Well, now, they are to come up with the blueprint for planning in June. But I'm understanding that these start, and maybe it will affect in some way what goes on.
What is your wish regarding this? Do you think that we, as the nursing body, should elect someone to be on each of these task forces?
Do they ask for recommendations or appointments?
Dr. Wells told Gladys and me that he would ask us to name somebody. But it was just that we were your representatives, and we thought maybe it was a little bigger than that. he said that he'd send us a letter and we could get together. But he's perfectly, I mean, you know.
Would it be
it's
possible
just-
for Mrs. Lott and Ms. Garland to, contact people? We could sit here and elect people all day, but they might not excel. Would it be possible for our representatives to find people that would serve, capable people that would serve, and they would, I'm sure. And then let them be on these committees. Let us know, let you know.
Are any of you here particularly interested in serving yourself?
I was wondering, you're asking us for suggestions, really?
Well,
Is this true or
suggestions,
not?
or if you yourself would.
Volunteer.
Mhm.
I think it's real challenging that nurses are being asked to participate in this sort of thing.
You wanna
It's
look at 'em?
unusual to
I
me
hear-
in this community.
Then by the conversation, that this board agrees that we should have someone on this task. I think that's the question I was asking. Right. It is agreeable then, it is your wish then that these task forces have a nurse on it. All right, then, the next question is, would you like to charge Ms. Garland and Ms. Lott with this responsibility of choosing? Is that what you were saying, Pauline? These
Yes, 'cause I believe
individuals
these
to
people would
serve?
have to be contacted. We couldn't just elect them here without knowing that they would serve. And I think there's some thought ought to be given to who's gonna serve in specific spots.
No credentials to it.
I would trust
Community
that. I would trust Ms. Lott and Ms. Garland's judgment
I
myself
move that
personally.
they be given this, privilege of contacting, eligible nurses who would do it.
My second motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we give to our representatives the privilege and responsibility of selecting nurses to be on these task force. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. I bet this is the first time that special representatives have a subcommittee.
Well, you know, I think if you go 2 or 3 times and get involved in it, that it will be one of the most growth-producing experiences you can have. But more than that, I want us to prove our ability to function with another group.
I think this is real fine. If we might move on to the Model Cities program. I have attended well, actually, what this has gotten down to now is the board of directors of the Model Cities Better Health Incorporated. I think originally was to represent nursing in the health subcommittee on the technical advisory committee to Model Cities program. But this particular committee voted to incorporate, to receive funds and to have the say-so as to how these funds and the program will operate. The proposal which was submitted to HEW, well, it's many pages long and I won't go into it, but as I see nursing fitting in, they will have a team of for 6 teams of 3 people each. These 3 people being a nurse who has special public health preparation or at least experience in public health, a social worker, and an outreach person. I don't really know what outreach means, but anyhow, these 3 people will have supervision of 20 persons from the community that they are working with. And each community, as I say, will have these 3 people supervising 20 people. And the 20 people will be employed from the community and will be going into the homes to work with people in the home on their health problems. In the proposal, there were several things I didn't particularly like, but I think I didn't like it from the health department standpoint more than I didn't like it, as well as I didn't like it from the nursing standpoint. But as we are sure that the Better Health, Model Cities Better Health Incorporated will be funded, it will have a director and it has a board. The administrative director, of course, will and the board will be hiring these various people. Where they're going to get them, I don't know. But it is nice that of 5 professional people on the board of this corporation, nursing will be represented. And that is at the present where I am sitting. As far as I know now, at last contact with them, they were not funded, but everything looks toward the fact that it will be funded. And it is my understanding that nursing will always be on the board, not me, but someone representing nursing will be on the board. That's all on Model Cities. Report of sections, EACT, Ms. Pemberton, do you have a report?
Not unless you're interested in hearing about our program meetings. Business hasn't been carrying on, but we have had 2 excellent program meetings, all having to do with utilization of multimedia in teaching programs. And I was reminded when you all were talking about communication a few minutes ago, this is going to be the focus of our May meeting. Faults of communication and toward more effective communication in and out of the teaching setting.
Sounds interesting. Would you issue an invitation of?
Well, I am vice chairman and I am program chairman, and I've tried to publicize our meetings because they are open meetings and they've been in the journal. We put it in the journal, and on all our notices that we've sent out, we ask our members to bring guests and prospective members, and we have had a number of NSA and even some public health people at our last meetings. But our method of publicizing is in the newspaper and only direct mail to our members. But the next meeting will be May 6th at 7:30 in CDC in Classroom 1. We're utilizing CDC because they have so many facilities and the real talent over there. And in my work, I became quite familiar with it, and I found out that we're getting much greater attendance at our meetings now. We had 35, I think, at our first meeting, which was in contrast to 11 at the last meeting where we elected officers.
administrators, did, Ms. Fitzpatrick send a report?
She has sent her nominations and all, and whether she's gotten a report in here, not, they did have a good meeting, and, Ms. Fitzpatrick's gone to, Honolulu, I believe it is. Meeting, let's see if she has one in here. She has sent us, and we're very grateful to get these, because so far I've only gotten the public health and one from general duty. The others were returned to me blank. I don't even know who they came from. They didn't put a note or anything in it. But, anyhow, she has sent a nice list.
General duty, Ms. Smith?
We had a good meeting last month, thanks to Ms. English. And we had 16, which is a great improvement over our previous 4, I believe. And we are encouraged. And I'm looking forward to a big group next month.
Thank you. Occupational health, Ms. Langford?
No report, and we did not have a meeting in February. It was the day before the friendship dinner. And I called any number of our people who I thought might be going and told them that instead of a meeting on Thursday night, to make every effort to attend the friendship dinner. And I do hope that we have a program meeting for April. We plan to.
Public health, Ms. Hanson?
We had, at our meeting February 13th, we took a good bit of time on these nominations. And, at the time, I didn't have the, list of the, district and so, but we did, make these nominations from the public health section. And, and also for GSNA and the Board of Examiners. And, we have a, committee to revise the rules of the public health section. And I think, Catherine Aiken, contacted you on that. She's going to have a meeting, and we're anxious to get the rules, to conform to the public health section rules. I suppose you have a model form from ANA and GSNA.
Not on the
Or
rules,
section rules.
we've, back then, we've had one or two of the sections who have revised theirs. And, I think the next step on that is the new structure study that, is going to be planned, so, not legal rules.
You have public health, GSNA has.
She has asked for, more information on it, and,
I sent
I
her
didn't have
all the bylaws, but she didn't mention rules. She wanted, the bylaws, which I sent, and also I sent her the new code. And,
well, we have a real good committee, and, I think,
I'll check on that and see the last ones we had, and.
if you have anything that would help, the, rules committee.
Why don't you tell her to call the state?
Well, she had already contacted, I think, Mr. Bell Faxon and Carol, are you on that committee too?
Yeah, we're meeting tomorrow afternoon.
Hmm?
We're meeting tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon.
Catherine was in charge of, she was the committee chairman for revising the state rules, so she's pretty well aware of how to
She
do
had,
it.
several suggestions. We discussed several suggestions for a revision, but I told her that I think that we better see what the new structure, what the state public health section and, all of that. Maybe it would be good to have, Ms. Atkins or somebody from the district meet with them. They might want to do that if, so that,
I won't be able to meet with them go see the income tax people, that joint open.
August is our annual meeting, and, you know, how long it takes to get those through the district and approved and everything, so that I think we better.
I don't really think there'll be any problem, because I think with that,
She
Jake
had-
was on the
They
state
can-
file committee.
That's what she said.
she's, she knows how to do it.
Harold worked on it too, didn't
State.
Harold? I think got a problem.
One thing she brought up was this, method, and I don't know if this is, I question this business of bringing it to the sections for nominations, and so did she. I don't know how the nominating committee could do it better, but certainly takes a lot of time in the, section meeting. We did have a program, but we only had about 15 minutes for the speaker after we took all this time. You can imagine how much time it takes, and I think it's too bad to take up your whole meeting on these nominations. Maybe there could be some other way. If the executive committee of the sections could, or some information previous to the meeting could be sent out, asking them to come to the meeting with nominations.
Right, in line with that, I'd like to make a comment. I passed over this, but the EACT section had a very difficult time in, that we did not receive these materials for suggesting nominations, so that this could be taken care of at any meeting. It was, my information, matter of fact, I just got a telephone call from the chairman asking me for suggestions to put on the list. And she said they had to be in the next day. Well, I don't suggest anyone until I speak with them.
What
And-
happened on that was, excuse me.
Well, that's right, I didn't
Let
understand
me
why, but
tell
I
you
knew there was
why,
some reason.
what happened, they mailed that out from GS&A headquarters, it was dated the 6th. We did not receive it until the day before the workshop. But it was sent out third-class mail, and they get that out, there's no regulation saying when it must be delivered, they do it when they can. And it was about 5 or 6 pages, so when I got it, what I had to do was to address the envelopes to the sections and turn it over to Ms. Monaco, and let her do it the next day while I was in session at the workshop. You would have still had time to have gotten it at your meeting had it not been held up first-class mail in the post office 8 days. Because, you would have gotten it the very next day. It was mailed on the 20th. And she told me she got it just about March the 1st. Ms. Burns called to tell
Yeah,
us
the
about
night-
it. And what
28th.
we did, they didn't give us an explanation of what they actually wanted on that, just, you know, I mean, it was very indefinite on that. So, we asked the state, called the state and asked them to send the 5 or 6 pages. We couldn't duplicate all that much, you know, I mean, it'd been very expensive and they already had them. So the state said that they would duplicate it and mail it to the 6th chairman of our group. And I asked my group to let me know if they didn't get it. One of them didn't. And so, I think that part's been unfortunate. We
I
did
got
ask
that
them.
after our meeting,
Mhm.
though, I think we needed to know the officers, of the GS&A and the board members, and when their terms expired.
Yeah, it was
'Cause,
pretty incomplete.
I was pretty far back on that.
The information that came from, what's that little girl's name?
Shaver.
Annie Schaefer. Really, she thought she was doing something that would help us, facilitate things. In other words, we were gonna get these things to her, and then she was gonna send back to each district the names from all over the state that had come in, so that, in making our nominations, we would have the advantage of of, these names from all over the state. Now, it did give a deadline on that, and because of all of this, the deadline was moved to the end of March. So you still have time to.
And I hadn't even heard that.
No,
Ms. Burns
this was
knows that.
said. So you still have time.
Well, we don't have but a meeting every other month, so
That's
that wouldn't help us.
I
either.
checked the calendar the day that I received it, and every section would have had a meeting, by that time. And I had already sent out in January a letter to the membership stating that this would be done. And that as soon as it was received in the headquarters, because we called them, and, GSNA, and asked when the list would be available, wasn't it ready, supposed to be there? And they said, no, not until later. So the very day that we got it, we addressed it, and, Ms. Monaco went ahead and made forms and sent out, but they were held up in mail.
The next item, the next section to call on is private duty. We'll skip over that because all officers have resigned and go into unfinished business. We have received letters from Mrs. Sarah P. Stedman, Chairman of the 5th District Public Health Section. Private duty section. Well, I don't have them in order. I thought I did. We have a letter from Helen Wass, who is a member at large of the Executive Committee. We have a letter from Elizabeth C. Eden, who is second vice chairman of the private duty section. We have a letter from Elsie B. Hudson, who is secretary of the private duty section. We do not have a letter, but we do have this. You remember we sent out a letter about some people who were not coming to the executive committee, and on it we said, I will attend, or send the vice chairman, I will not attend, or I will attend if possible, or notify headquarters. This is from Mrs. Moat, who says, I will not attend board meetings. Ms. Moat is was the first vice chairman of the private duty section. So, if I'm correct, every officer has resigned. There is still one member of the executive committee that I do not have a letter from. Either that she has resigned or has not resigned. So as you see, we have no officers of the private duty section. But before we get into that, these letters don't really say anything but please accept my resignation. So what is your wish regarding the letters?
Resignation from what,
Private duty section.
From the section.
And Ms. Mould is not a member. We contacted her, and she thought we should know she was not a member, but we haven't gotten word from A&E whether or not she renewed it. And she would not serve anyhow.
I may not have said this right. I thought I said it at the first. All officers of the private duty section have resigned, and we have letters, except one member of their executive committee. I do not have a letter from her. In other words, they have no officers.
They have no organization then.
Is their membership aware of this?
This worries me. I spoke to a girl, I would say, that happens to be a member of my Western Service Guild, and I said, did you know that this had happened? And she said no. I said, do you feel that this reflects the wishes of the private duty nurses? And do you think they know about it? And she says, I don't know.
Well, it seems like all we can do right now is just accept the resignations from office, and then until we hear from, I mean, that's all they're asking, isn't it, to resign from office?
They have resigned from office.
Well, the bylaws say that
Oh,
the section,
this
could
is
we
the thing
dissolve
about it. This board of this organization
Can
didn't
dissolve
elect
a
them.
section.
Well, that's what I
Private
was
duty
getting
section
at.
elected.
And they resign to the private
They don't
duty section.
resign.
They don't resign to this
Only
board.
one we would be the
That's
board,
exactly what I was
wouldn't, how about the
We
chairman?
don't do the board.
Well, we still did, you still didn't elect her, she's on it by virtue of her office.
Could we just
And,
receive it for information then?
This is just, is in informational, I find, but then they resign to their own section. You resign to the people that elect you, not to some other group.
them to anything.
Well, the first letter I had, which was from the chairman, resigned from, as chairman of the private duty section. These all came to us. Most of them were addressed to me.
All the officers but the president, seemed to me like, would have sent a letter to the president saying I'm resigning.
And then the president, probably resigned from the board, that's the only,
Well,
all
this
she
year-
owes us.
Well, she would say that I have resigned as chairman, will no longer be a
I
member
think,
of the board.
Well, you see, this is what has happened. When she resigned, we contacted who we thought was the first vice chairman
And they in turn
to
kept
come on
coming in.
to the board. Well, she resigned, and the second vice chairman resigned, and the secretary resigned, and one member at large of the committee resigned. So you see, we have no representation on the board. This is what I'm saying.
Madam Chairman, I have two private duty, nurses in my Sunday school class, and I talked with one of them, and she was disturbed. She knew about this. She was asking me what I thought she should do. Well, I said, well, it seems like if they've all resigned, that, there's a pretty good, opportunity for you all to get in there, get all the private duty nurses together, that are members, and, reorganize your section.
Elect new officers, huh?
If they could
Well-
get, because there are a lot of good private duty nurses that really, I think, don't you, want to, carry on,
Well, is your action then to receive this
I
as
move
information?
information.
And then it would be the duty of the district to help them organize and get their
reorganize.
whole meeting and,
I had
elect their
thought
officers.
with, when all this was happening, that perhaps the step that we should take would be for a letter to go out to all the private duty nurses, making this known. And would it be my prerogative or responsibility to set a date for a meeting for them to elect other officers? You know, if there's nobody at the helm, who would call a meeting? I'm asking for the information.
I think they want to organize themselves, I mean, in the section, reorganize.
Madam President, I wonder if it would be appropriate, when we're having a meeting, just to make a statement of the facts as there are, and then certainly if there are any private duty nurses there, they would sort of pass the word along.
Even at the district meeting on
At the
Thursday.
district meeting.
We've been
Because it is
having one or two
information.
people at, private duty nurses at the district meetings, one or
Only had
two.
one or two.
Right.
You've got 104 members, 109 members here.
And then certainly, unless,
do something.
the,
109 members, a lot of nurses, I think, in private duty that would like to reorganize.
I think the mere fact that these 109 have joined indicates they're interested in the
Yeah,
organization.
and they were really, this girl was really distressed. She hasn't been too active, but she did go to the friendship dinner, and, I believe she talked with you too, Cherry. But, she has asked me 2 or 3 times, and I thought, well, if you get, the nurses together that you think would like to reorganize, since they have all resigned, and they really have no organization,
Well,
no,
don't you-
leaders.
Don't you feel that this group as the board should make this information known
to these 109.
to
I
the
move that
members of the
we,
private duty section?
that the board, notifies the,
Call a special meeting.
all the
And don't you
private
think
duty
this
nurses.
board, or some person on this board, should set a meeting date for them then to,
Consider reorganization if they want to, okay?
Let them set
Let
it
them
themselves,
consider
I believe would
reorganization at
be,
this meeting.
if they have this information.
but you see, they have no leader.
No, I wouldn't call it reorganization, I just say.
With the 109 that are members, if there's any one of them that, would like to have a meeting with the, office, send information to the 109 that are members, just like they do for, we get
Oh, for the
notices in every
services.
section.
I think that's right,
We
remarkable.
need to have it at a time that a large percent of them could be present.
What time do they normally have their meetings, section meetings?
4:30, usually have it at Crawford Lawn. Got it on the calendar here.
Well, they were going around one time, while they did not in.
Well, they came back though, they voted to go back on this last calendar, I think you'll find it's still Crawford Lawn. They wanted to take it out there, and they did have some educational programs out there, but according to the last, calendar, it is scheduled. I think on one of their meeting dates might still be a nice time to do it, Mr. President, to call it, just go ahead and call it the next, it's the last Thursday in the month.
In the evening, month at 4 p.m. at Crawford Lawn Memorial Hospital Nursing Home. I have my copy of that one.
You need 18 to elect out. I think that's that quorum.
I move that we send this information out to the, members of the private duty who are members of the.
Well, in the last time we had it was 18 in there. What do you think?
I would say.
And offer the services for reorganization, if that is their wish. And give them the full, full opportunity to accept it or not for election of officers. Since you've received this information, I think it would be
It would not only be something that would be nice to do, but it's sort of a duty to do it.
Yeah, I'm feeling this is a duty, really.
yeah.
I second the motion, and I would suggest that, somebody second it, did you second it? I would suggest in the communication you put their 109 members, because they might not have any idea of what's left. I think this would give them some support. Doesn't have to
It
be
has
in the
been
motion.
moved and seconded that we make the information known to the members of the private duty section that all officers have resigned and offer assistance in,
No.
No, election.
the re-election of officers,
Re-election.
election of officers.
And have the meeting date the next regular time. Could you do both at once?
Well, since they have a regular meeting date, we could, state this. In discussion,
You said a while ago, all except one. one member of the executive committee, so you better clarify that and get in touch with her before you make that statement, not to,
Have you had anything verbal?
Not from Ms. Zerps, not a word. No, I
Is she
understood
the
that some of
member
the,
that
she
had
was the
resigned?
other member at large, so my
Well, could you
feeling is
say
that
the
she's the one
majority?
that got them all to resign. But
I
don't
really
know.
think she's
I just
behind
count the
all
number
this.
and say how many. If it were
she
me, I'd
just
say 5 or
hasn't-
6, how many it is.
She's not an officer though, did you say?
No, she's just
Why don't
on
you
the
just say
executive
officers?
committee.
She
Just say
could
all
do anything.
officers.
She
Just
didn't
say
have
all
the floor.
officers have resigned, just leave her alone.
I didn't wanna do the callings.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of, I've repeated it once, of
Yeah.
this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
We'll have to
Then we
pull that
will.
plates from the others, but it can be done. I mean, I haven't pulled, I wait till after it's all over with, and they are supposed to give us a list now from A&A, and then we can go ahead and pull all the addresses and plates at one time. Big chore.
I have another resignation, but before I read it, I've talked her out of part of it. This is from Mrs. English. For personal reasons, I find it necessary to submit my resignation as first vice president of 5th District GSNA. I feel it will only be fair to you and the board for me to do this at this time in order that you may place a candidate's name on the ballot to serve the unexpired term due to my resignation. I will continue to attend meetings of 5th District and assist as possible. Ms. English. I called Ms. English and talked to her about this, and she has agreed to stay in this, stay on the board, or as first vice president until we elect somebody. But she sent this in so that we could get somebody on the ballot for this position, because you have another year, to serve. What is your wish regarding this?
Madam, President, does our Constitution and bylaws say that if somebody resigns, doesn't the second vice president automatically come to be first vice president?
I think, unless I'm wrong, let me be sure, because it
It's a
says.
vacancy.
It's a vacancy.
Then there would be a vacancy on the board that
On the first vice
that-
president, that would be, then you would fill the second.
So fill the second vice president.
Let me be
We
sure.
lose a good program chairman.
I'm sorry.
We lose a good program chairman if the second vice president moves up. Would Miss Lott, is Miss Lott up for election this time?
Yeah, I'm through.
She doesn't know.
Can't you withdraw your resignation, put it back in later?
I got so many things to do in Georgia City, I just can't.
She said have a great Thursday.
She could put that in there.
Is this your
Do any vacancies in elected offices on the board of directors except the vacancy occurred in the office of president or vice president or candidate secretary? That is, Article 11, Section 6, E. So it would not be, I mean, it would be the board, you said, the first to move up.
Well, that's why I told Margaret I'd do, but there seemed to be some question here, and it would make a big difference to me.
Why do you want to resign?
It's
got too much.
It's got too much to do, George is not well, I just feel like I've got to be part of my time here.
And you're on the state,
So, I had to be cut out soon,
you're gonna stay on the state
Well, this brings us to the point of, that Ms. English said that she would stay on until election time. Well, election time comes up and we will be electing a second vice president who would, I don't know.
But then the
Immediately he'd be
resignation
first
would
vice
be
president.
as of the annual meeting, is that right?
You're gonna send your ballot out in May, I mean, we got a different method then of doing it, so we'll have to have the, ballot pad, first of May, I think is the deadline on that.
You see, you may be elected as new second vice president, but if she resigns, she would automatically go up now. And you would fill the second vice president, well, until September, you see, until the new one is elected. But if you wait until September, she is out. I mean,
Well, then could if Merle
but
would
she
take,
would be out, you see, and she would not, she wouldn't move up. You don't move up somebody like that. That would be
could Merle take this, could she take my office and serve next year?
Sure.
I think I don't
she
know of anybody
fills
that could do
the
it better.
unexpired term.
Yeah, I don't see of anybody that could do it better.
And then you fill the unexpired term of the second vice
Make it
president, which
effective
would be
right
from
now.
now to September.
It's gonna count. If Merle
You
could do
don't
that,
go,
would be wonderful.
you stay here till you finish your quorum.
We got
What do we do about the
ballots and
vacancy
all.
on the board right now? Do we
What
have it?
about
We don't have to
first
fill
vice
it, huh?
president? Who moves up, the second vice president?
They'd
If
have to
that's
appoint
vacant.
somebody
You appoint
After
somebody?
The board.
to fill your term. And then they could be, elected somebody has to be elected then in September, isn't that right? To fill her term. I mean, for a new one.
Oh, wait a minute,
Then
we've
she
done it
had-
all wrong. Here, I'm reading it all wrong. To have the power to fill any vacancy in the elective offices on the board of directors, except, you were right, except a vacancy occurring, now this thing goes up, then you would elect, you see, the second vice president at the, meeting. You couldn't, the board doesn't, do it, you see, you move them up, and then the organization elects the second vice president to fill this unexpired term. The board
In other
wouldn't do
words,
it.
we don't do anything about hers
She
right
would
now.
automatically move up.
Move up to be first vice.
Right.
You see, this is automatic. But the board does not fill a vacancy in president or vice president. So the organization would have to fill that vacancy.
An organization cannot fill it then until September, is that right?
No, the organization would fill it at this next meeting if it's done today.
Do it
Would
today
be-
and this
would
give
be
Merle
done
a chance
Thursday.
and to be the first vice president next 2 years.
Yeah, she would fill the unexpired term. She'd finish from
You
now
just
and
got
your
one
term.
more year.
One more.
Yeah,
One
just
more year.
one more year. And I may retire at the end of this year from my job too.
Envy you.
I may, I said I may.
Then we would be up for
You
election
talk.
of the second vice president in September.
The second vice president, you would have a nominee, the second vice president, in the second vice elected this
Yes,
time.
she
So
did.
you see, you would have a nominee on the ballot.
For the friendship done.
And would you get anybody to take that place between now and September?
Between now and September.
And then it would automatically expire.
Yeah, it's the unexpired term. And it would be the organization though that has to do it.
At the next regular meeting, which this
Which
next
would be this Thursday, if it's done.
Can they do it just with a voice vote?
99%.
No, that's not amended by all this, it doesn't say how.
You wouldn't have to have.
So you could have a motion that it be by voice vote. If there's only one nominee, I would certainly make the motion to be a voice vote.
And you'd be membership committee instead of program committee chairman.
Oh, boy.
Then you get more members than you ever had, y'all get more members than anything, cause all of them just fall in tomorrow. that's all parts of her.
You know, Miss Wood had worked, you know, the hours just won't get you straight.
Yeah, we're back to the letter.
I make a motion, we accept it.
Can't do that, Doctor.
You wanna leave Colin now?
Oh, yeah, if it's gonna help Merle be the first vice president, we need you
I'm
to have
not
to-
anxious for the office, you just the right way.
No, I know, but I think you'd be good for the office.
Well, the fact of her being, moving up to first vice
Make it
president
immediately, Merle.
would be, it could be either now or it could be whenever the resignation date takes place, couldn't it?
As long as it's done before.
If she wants to resign right now, or if she wants to resign at the date of the annual meeting. And then we wouldn't be left for a little while without a
Merle can
second
be first vice
vice
president. You can't appoint
president.
somebody to be the second vice president?
Can't the board appoint somebody for second vice president?
No, the organization has to elect, the board cannot fill a vacancy of a president or vice president or section chair.
Why don't you
Or
just say
second
until the
vice
annual
president,
meeting, and
they
she
can't
automatically
fill.
moves up to
Or
her position,
it
then we
says
just elect.
vice president.
Her term would expire.
First vice president.
It's an office then.
And be complicated to mail ballot too, wouldn't it?
I think
No,
Merle would be
we're
a
gonna
really
elect the
good
second
first
vice
vice
chairman
president.
anyhow.
That's what it
See,
is.
her,
For a lot of reasons.
hers could, you have to expire.
If the president couldn't be,
Or in the
president,
summertime.
the board meetings on GSNA, Merle would be a good one.
And she would finish her membership promotion thing.
She's
Well,
a
the
good,
vice-
gives good impression.
She is
and
an
a lot of people
automatic
like her.
membership chairman, is that, does that go along with that? Thought it was something separate.
How much?
And she's got a program committee already, I mean, a program, meeting for May, you see, that, wouldn't be too fair for somebody coming in cold right now.
There's no meeting in
Well,
July, so she could stay that long if she's been in position.
I wonder if Pauline would agree, since the letter has no, resignation date, would you agree to stay on, for a while longer? Because if you stay on for a while longer, Merle can continue as she is, and you can continue as you are. But before an election comes up, if you are resigning, then you could resign and Merle could be the first vice chairman, and on the ballot would be an election of a second vice
But if we
chairman.
made the last meeting, we'd have this for the summer. The minute that May meeting's over.
No, say first of June.
And those weeks in September, is it not? And that'll be the new one that's elected, second vice chair.
Working with the first,
Elections the
with
first of
program
September.
chairman.
When's that?
Program chairman working with membership chairman.
This district annual meeting is, September.
But officers elect in September and nurse week September.
June the first, Margaret, June 1.
It would be not much time for you going to get that.
That's right, I can't write on your letter, can I?
As far as I'm concerned, you write all over it, child. Just put down that, June the 1st. Insert June
You would
1.
want to resign as of the May.
As of May the 31st, as of the end of the workday on May the 31st.
I already written June the 1st.
We have to say that. At the end of the workday on May the 31st.
All right, having amended Ms. English's letter, what is your,
I move that we accept with regret.
Thank you, Ken Chad.
it's been moved and
You want me to
seconded
finish your
that we.
sentence, Si?
No, I was waiting for a second. It was been moved and seconded that we accept, Ms. English's resignation with regret to be effective June the 1st. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
That sound like somebody else I know. Just one.
We have been having some telephone calls and so forth relative to certain information and records and files that were in the registry office. They are now stored, and the income tax people have told us that certain records should be kept various number of years. But there are also some personal records there, and I asked Ms. Atkins if she would contact the lawyer regarding these personal records, because they have been asked for and understand demanded from from the individual. Her own personal record has been asked for. The lawyer says that we should not let anyone have the records unless they are subpoenaed, unless you have a court order to get these records. If this is the lawyer's recommendation, what is your wish regarding these personal records that we have stored at the 5th District Office?
You have, Madam Chairman, our recommendation before that was acted on, that all registered records necessary for legal retention as directed by the auditors be retained on file in 5th District headquarters, and all other records now stored be destroyed by burning. The others were destroyed, the ones the auditors told us to keep. These personal records are really, in a way, would qualify under legal retention there, because she said if we should not burn them at this time, because they would say we were willfully destroying them, and she says legally that would be classified under that as retention papers, and that if we let them out, then we may be sued by some of the people who had uncomplimentary remarks about them. Most of them are just a file. It took years and years to compile them, and maybe physicals, and when they've had complaints, we have 3 or 4 of one. But other than that, there's not a personal record of evaluation or anything like that that would be of any benefit to that person whatsoever. We do have the cards for their calls, a complete record of it for about 7 or 8 years, and one person who was going blind, income tax people said they had to have that record in order to get for her Social Security, and we were able to get all but 1 year of what they required, and it went way back there in 1955. So we are covered under this already with the motion on the board, that, and she considers that as being a legal retention. At the time that was made out, we hadn't heard from the lawyer.
What are these people asking? What kind of record are they asking for?
No, Ms. Burkholder called Friday a week ago demanding all of hers, and going to ask all the private duty nurses to do them, that they've accumulated through the years and they belong to them. And
You mean their work record?
their personal files. That's the way she directs it. There is a folder that Remington ran. They spent at least 4 or 5 months down there. On every person down there has a folder. It's 2 whole filing cabinet drawers to it. But some of them don't have a thing but a physical. I haven't been down there. It's very dark down there. The lights are out most of the time. It's real dangerous to even go down there in the basement, the Healy building. But we have had to go to get certain records. And we can't send other people's recommendations. I mean, for instance, one that was requested, Sister, you had given on one of the private duty nurses, and she was out west, Utah or someplace. I couldn't give her yours, I mean, it was very good, but at the same time, we got it from you in strict confidence. And we got one from Internal Revenue last week. One of the practical nurses, Mrs. Illustration, had applied for a position, and we found 3 letters in there involving.
Well, I would say let us
drugs and
belong to
other
the
things.
organization, I move that
They-
no one have
they
access to
belong.
that court order.
I don't think we even should give out any information about their ability to work or anything, is.
All we do, all I'm
Follow
doing
the
now is
legal
send them that
procedure.
card, send them the card where it was, is to be closed, I put was closed. And in this instance, I made a memo and said she was not a member of the registry, said she didn't meet the requirements. I mean, she was going to the, internal, to the Internal Revenue Department there. And, she was not a member of the registry. But I think hereafter, the best thing to do is just send the card and let it go, and that's what I did on the last request. And then they can give other information from it, it's just send that one card and make no comment.
Do you have a record, duplicate of the card that you send?
It's the same one we sent out to everybody. They printed me about 200 extra ones out there saying that the register would be closed on August 1st. And I put in where it says would be, will be, we said was closed.
But I need the information you're sending out, you have another copy if you need it for any other purpose or.
Oh,
prove
I
what
have a
you're sending out.
photocopy on the machine myself, which like makes this copy. But I can't do it if it's, I mean, in other words, those records down there, any thing I can do would be direct, Internal Revenue, in which that one person would profit by a list of her calls, for instance, in getting her Social Security if she was going blind. And it's one that's been there for 20-some odd years. Then, legally, they can demand those records, the calls. And I called Internal Revenue just to be sure. I thought maybe it was somebody trying to get the records, of her calls. And I asked him, would it be of any advantage to her to have it? He says, by all means, because then we can contact people, we can establish her. She said her records had been burned. Well, she's really elderly. I mean, she's way up there in about the 70s and all. But, other than that, I'm just gonna send a call that the thing is closed and that's it. Unless it is Internal Revenue, or legally we have to provide it.
Do I hear a second to the motion? The motion was made and seconded that, we do not give out any files unless under court order. All those in favor, say aye.
She called it personal files if you want.
Now, I have 2 matters that perhaps we can, take up very quickly. I appreciate your patience on a long meeting like this. They all seem to get long. But, one is, the GSNA has not had an invitation for convention this year. The time is late. And, I stuck my neck out a little bit and said maybe the 5th District would invite them, invite the convention here this year. What is your wish regarding this?
Could it be limited to, business meetings without the social activities that usually go along with it?
If we invite them, it'll be the whole convention. If they just have to have it, if nobody invites